Have you ever met someone who just made you feel chosen? They texted you every day, "Good morning. How has your day been?" They always seemed to want to spend time with you. They flirted. They remembered all of the little things about you. Maybe they even talked about future plans for themselves, and within those plans, you coexisted with them. From the outside, it looked like a relationship. It looked like two people so in love that they were excited just to be spending their days with one another. But every time the conversation turned towards commitment, something suddenly changed. They needed more time. They weren't ready. They wanted to see where things go and take it one day at a time. Or maybe they avoided the conversation altogether. And that's when the questioning started to appear within your mind. If they like me, why won't they commit? If they want me in their future, why are they afraid to settle down with me? It's one of the most painful questions in dating. What are we? Because mixed signals make us believe the answer must be hidden somewhere deep within. That if we analyze every conversation, every text, every moment, we can eventually figure it out and understand. But the truth is, people can genuinely like and care about somebody, but still choose not to build a relation with them. Not because they're just playing games, but because liking and committing to somebody are two very, very different psychological decisions for some people. Today, we're going to dive deep and explain why. Welcome to the Love Lens. On this channel, we explore the psychology behind love, attraction, and human behavior. Today, we're looking at one of the most confusing relationship experiences. When someone clearly enjoys being with you, but never fully chooses you. Let's break down why that happens. One of the biggest misconceptions in dating is believing that attraction automatically leads to commitment. It doesn't. Think about it this way: you can enjoy somebody's company, find them attractive, respect them, laugh while with, and feel emotionally connected to them, yet still not believe that they are the person you want to build a future together with. Commitment asks for much, much more than attraction. It asks the difficult questions, like, can I trust this person long-term? Do our lives fit together? Am I emotionally ready? Am I willing to give up other possibilities to settle down? Those are very different and much more serious questions than something as simple as, do I like spending time with them? Sometimes, people can actually answer yes to the first question, but no to the second. For a lot of people out there, sometimes just enjoying somebody's company isn't enough for them. If they feel as if their lives just aren't aligned, maybe their long-term goals or ideas don't make sense on paper, these kinds of things are thought about, even if subconsciously, and is shown on the outside as a form of rejection. In reality, though, it sometimes isn't even a direct reject to another person, but a rejection to the idea of the relationship working out in their mind. One possibility of this: timing. Not because timing magically fixes everything, but because life's circumstances do matter. Someone may genuinely enjoy being with you, while knowing in the back of their mind that they aren't actually capable of giving you the relationship you deserve. Maybe they're still healing from a previous breakup. Maybe they're focused on work and their career. Maybe they're dealing with family issues, or simply just not feeling emotionally available. Now, it's important to be careful here. Sometimes, "I'm not ready" is honest. But other times, "I'm not ready" is just a softer way of saying, "I'm not ready for this relationship." The difficult part is navigating which one it actually is, and that's why it becomes dangerous to wait indefinitely for somebody to become ready. Because readiness isn't just something you can create for another person, and a lot of times, waiting around just to watch them end up in a relationship with somebody else only makes healing and moving on harder and more painful. Commitment changes more than just relationship status, it changes identity. For some people, being in a committed relationship feels like giving something up. Their freedom, independence, spontaneity. Even if those fears aren't realistic, they feel real, and the closer that the relationship becomes, the more those fears can begin to grow indefinitely. So, instead of moving forward, they prefer to stay in a comfortable middle ground. Close enough to enjoy the relationship, but distant enough to avoid responsibility. It's not always manipulation necessarily. Sometimes it's uncertainty, but regardless of the actual reason, the outcome feels the same to the person on the other end of it. You remain emotionally invested, while they remain emotionally undecided, and that imbalance can grow to become a very painful one in the long run. This is actually one of the hardest truths to accept in a situation like this. Sometimes, the current arrangement already gives them everything they've been looking for: companionship, affection, support, attention, physical intimacy, without requiring a deeper commitment. However, if nothing motivates change, then change rarely happens. And that's why just waiting around for somebody to eventually decide that they want to be with you can become emotionally exhausting. Not because they dislike you, but because they may already feel satisfied and content with how the relationship already is. If somebody feels content, why would they want anything to change? Early relationships are built on possibility. You imagine trips together, future memories, shared goals. You fill in the blanks. As time passes, though, possibility eventually becomes reality, and reality asks the harder questions. Can we solve conflict together? Do our values and morals align? Can we support each other through difficult times? Sometimes, someone realizes that they may love the idea of the relationship more than the responsibility of maintaining one, and that realization often looks like emotional distance. In reality, though, it's actually uncertainty and doubt becoming slowly visible, and that can be a lot scarier for somebody as it naturally begins to pile on them over time. So why do we stay? Why do we let ourselves linger around with hope when somebody refuses to commit? The answer to that question: hope. Hope is powerful. Every affectionate message, every good date, every promise of maybe one day, it convinces us that commitment is the next step, that it's just right around the corner. But hope can become a trap. We stop evaluating the relationship based on today's reality of it, and start imagining it more so based on tomorrow's potential. That's what keeps us emotionally tied and invested. The longer it continues, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because the relationship is improving either, but because we've invested so much emotionally that walking away now still feels like losing everything. When somebody won't commit, a lot of people may ask why. It's a natural question, sure, but it isn't always the most useful one. A better question to ask would be, is this relationship actually giving me what I need? Because even if you eventually discover why it is that they hesitate, that explanation doesn't automatically create commitment. At some point, clarity becomes more valuable than certainty. Somebody can genuinely care about you, make you feel good, and even love you, and still not be the right person for you to actually build a future with. They can enjoy your company, appreciate your kindness, and still be unable or unwilling to make the commitment that you're looking for. That doesn't automatically make them a bad person, and it doesn't automatically mean there was something wrong with you either. But sometimes, the most important realization isn't understanding why they couldn't commit. It's recognizing that you deserve someone whose actions actually match their feelings. Love isn't measured only by attraction, it's measured by consistency, intention, by choosing each other, especially once things become real. So, for one final thought that's worth leaving you with, when somebody refuses to commit, it's easy to believe that the relationship exists in two possible futures. One where they eventually choose you, and one when they don't. So naturally, your mind becomes obsessed and distracted with figuring out which future is actually coming. You analyze every conversation, replay memories in your head. You look for signs that things are changing and progressing forward, and you convince yourself that maybe, just maybe, if you're just a little more patient, a little more understanding, or a little more available, everything will finally fall into place. But relationships aren't built on potential, they're built on choices. And every day that somebody chooses to not move the relationship forward, that is a choice. It may not be a loud or intentional choice, but it's still information. Don't ever mistake a potential future in your head for what is actually happening right now in the current. Ask yourself this: If nothing changed from this moment forward, if they continued giving you exactly the same level of commitment and uncertainty that they are right now, the same mixed signals, for another week, month, year, would you genuinely be able to say that you're happy? Sometimes, the greatest act of self-respect isn't waiting for someone to make up their mind about you. It's about deciding that your life will no longer be on pause while they do.